How do you know if what you hear and see is the truth, especially in these confusing times? So many opinions. How can the words of Jesus help you tell the difference? Jesus said, "Watch out for false teaching." Good morning and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you experience life to the fullest, the Jesus way. Today's Jesus Said in our weekday Bible plan at bible.today.church lists the scriptures Matthew 16:6 and then also verses 11 and 12. We're going to read the whole thing this morning, but first just a little bit of context here as we look at Matthew 16. The Pharisees had just asked Jesus to show a sign from heaven, and Jesus said that no sign would be given to them but the sign of Jonah. Talking about how he was going to die and be resurrected. Now, Jesus had gone across the Sea of Galilee in a boat, and the disciples got there later, and they realized that they forgot bread. And Jesus said this in Matthew 16:6, "Watch out," Jesus said to them, "beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and the Sadducees." So they, and that's the disciples, began to discuss this among themselves, saying, "It was because we brought no bread." When Jesus heard or learned of this, he said, "You who have such little faith, why are you arguing among yourselves about having no bread? Do you still not understand? Don't you remember the 5 loaves for the 5,000, or how many baskets you took up? Or the 7 loaves for the 4,000, and how many baskets you took up?" So the disciples, unpacking this here, they were looking at physical things, and Jesus reminded them of all the miracles where God had provided bread. Going on to verse 11, "How could you not understand that I was not speaking to you about bread? But beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees." Then they understood that he had not told them to be on guard against the yeast in bread, but against the teaching of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Jesus is using the analogy here, the metaphor, that false teaching is like yeast. Yeast is used in the Old Testament as a symbol of sin. And he's saying that the teaching of the Pharisees, this false teaching, was like yeast. Now, yeast changes what it's exposed to. It causes growth and expansion, and a little bit can change a lot. Jesus used the word doctrine here, didache in Greek, teaching that literally leads to action. So it wasn't just false information, it was also false action. There's a document from the first century of teachings that is literally called the Didache. And it's not a philosophical document, but it's a how-to manual, because at this time, doctrine was not just information, it was application. Now, in other places, Jesus said to do what the Pharisees said, but not what they did. So beware of false teaching that leads to wrong action or even no action. So the question is, how can you tell the difference today? There is so much false teaching out there. Good words, correct information sometimes, but incomplete, with very little accountability to actually change or obey the commands of Jesus. If you scan through the top-selling Christian books, very little is about actually doing what Jesus said. It's information-based, philosophy-based, not obedience-based. And many of the topics are more about self-help, about being successful, being a good leader, or understanding the right theology. But it's not words or belief that Jesus was warning against. It's false teaching that doesn't really change us, that doesn't lead to the right kind of action. Jesus said in Matthew 24, 9 through 13, he said that then you will be persecuted. This is talking about the end times. You will be arrested, persecuted, and killed. You'll be hated all over the world because you are my followers. And many will turn away from me and betray and hate each other. And many false prophets will appear and will deceive many people. Sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. What is that false teaching that Jesus is warning about? It's anything that teaches there's any other way into the kingdom other than repentance, dying to yourself, and to your own desires. Jesus never said, follow me, it's more fun. Follow me and be successful. He said, take up your cross daily and follow me. That's real happiness. That's real blessing. That's where the John 10:10 abundant life really kicks in. The yeast of false teaching will quickly expand and increase and infect everything around it unless we guard against it. Jesus said, watch out for false teaching. Make sure that what you are following and listening to sounds and looks like what Jesus did and said. Watch out. Beware of false teaching. How can you put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, it would mean a lot to me if you like it, if you share it, and if you comment. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate those that are here today that aren't laughing at me because I just stumbled over my words. I hope that you have an amazing day. I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest, the Jesus way. Thank you, Tina and Amber, for checking in. And remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.